Greatest ever done it. You can learn from it. Dope game ran it. Rap game running. Street cred hunted. Nerd turned D-boy, not in genetic makeup. Baby, I'm a G-boy. Hashtag street boy. Wrong one to fuck with. Cross me at your own risk. Play to get back. You can trust this. I am far from average. To me, it ain't no such thing. Me against the world, so fuck it, I let my nuts hang. I've been known to bust bang. Kill it if the need be. I don't need an army when the smoke clears, he sees me. Rhyming at his finest. Unlike those vaginas that claim that they the real deal, knowing I'm the highest. Top of the chain, I am what the streets made. I am what the hood built. You are just a weak lame. Homicidal maniac with suicidal tendencies. You're more like a punk band, I'm more like a pedigree of nigga you ain't seen yet. So y'all cannot describe me. I'm a freak of nature. Don't shit here surprise me. Money over everything. I am not a prostitute. You don't understand, hood. Fuck a nigga getting his unless he about to give me mine. Otherwise he prime beat. Shocking when I up the 9 and hit it with it 7 times. Fuck you thought I'm civilized? Welcome to the jungle, fool. It's only right I punish you. Nigga with an attitude. Feel like MC Ren felt. Quiet on the set, you funky bitch, you get your friends slipped. I give your game a black eye. Blame it on the black guy. I be on some nigga shit, I'm niggerish, so that's why. Guess what my religion is? This is what the business is. Exposure for you garbage ass rappers. You can witness this. Came to bang your game up. Pussies think they came up. Oh, you got a drop head? So now you think you famous? I hear it's dangerous and we don't know your name, cuz we don't even give a fuck. Rappers get it fucked up. Security say you nah, this they side job. They don't want no conflict, they don't want no problems, nah.
Salute, and welcome. Welcome back to the Black Ocean. Now swimming in the deep end with your host, the one and only Great Black Shark. And yes, family, you saw the thumbnail here. I was going to do something a bit different here this evening, but I had to change it up because we have to address something very serious. And I'm going to go ahead and give a disclaimer early. This will be one of those broadcasts where the information that you're going to learn is going to be very disturbing. And I will wager to say that is going to be one of the most disturbing things you ever heard in your life. Because, see, if you direct your attention to the screen, model minorities won't talk about this. Now, what am I talking about? You're probably like, what do you mean, GBS? Well, we're going to have to get on our friends in the Stop Asian Hate community. Oh, yes, we are. We got to talk about this because, see, you remember when they came out of the pandemic? Oh, they got that propaganda campaign going on. Oh, black people are just so dangerous. Black people just attacking them every time you turn around. Now, when you turn around and look at FBI crime statistics for who suffers the most hate crimes, guess who is not? It's not the Asian community. It is black folks. It has been for decades now. But we couldn't get no hate crime protection or not even get included in the bill thanks to the Congressional Black Caucus. They didn't even ask. Could try to advocate for us to be included in the bill. And salute to the people hitting the cash up already, the good brother Ian Quarterman and AH. Thank you very much for those donations. But family, I'm going to bring up something here tonight to put back in their face because, see, I've been seeing them pop fly at the mouth, since they rolled back affirmative action. Oh, they just thought that was going to hurt black people so bad. we not missing it because it never benefited us. They're the ones crying about it. So tonight, we're going to tackle some of this propaganda they've been spewing at us because, we 13% of the population, commit 52% of crime, all that foolishness. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we're going to talk about some of their crime in their community. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to do it. And I'm not going to be mocking it. I'm just going to bring it to you all's attention because it's something I guarantee you most of you have never heard of before, especially if you don't recognize the face of the deceased young lady in the photo. And I'm going to tell you her name. Her name is Junko Furuta, okay? Furuta, all right? They don't talk about that name because, see, when we talking about Asian hate, it's not us perpetrating it on them. It's the white supremacists. And furthermore, they're doing it to themselves. Because, see, this happened in Japan. And primarily, I'm not going to say all, but they do have some very disturbing things over there as a part of their culture, okay? We're gonna talk about one of them, and see, it's going to lead into what we got discussed here tonight. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to talk about it because, see, let me show you something here. Oh, yeah, we finna show you something. Excuse me. Let me get this water on deck. I keep forgetting to have that water bottle ready. I know you like, what in the hell am I looking at on this screen, GBS? Oh, yeah, let me make this big. Cause, see, I don't want nobody to say, oh, he just making this up. Oh, no, I ain't making nothing up. Just swig this water. Now, for those of you that don't know what this is, okay, some of you might. Yes, you see it right, the R word for sexual assault on the screen. R man, R word man. This is an anime that they have over there in Japan. And it's exactly what you think it is. Oh, yeah, it is. Because, see, just in case you still think I'm making this up, let me show you something. We're going to bring some truth to power over here tonight because you're going to see why I don't play around with any type of sexual assault or make jokes about it because the shit ain't funny. Hold on, let me take this banner down because I want everybody to be able to see this. All right, let me put this up here. Back to business. I'm going to make this big so everybody can see it. All right. I hope y'all can see that clearly because you know what, fact of business, I'm not going to hope. Let me make sure. Bear with me. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, here we go. We're going to read this together, okay? We're going to read this together. A little more sip of water. Family, this is the description of the R word man cartoon, okay? Now, for those of you that's not familiar with anime, it's called hentai, all right? I'm going to read this sickness to you, all right? And then you're going to see why I'm doing it once we get into what I got to show you here tonight. The R word man is a superhero. Mm-hmm. Keisuke Iwasaki, a high school teacher by day, superhero by night, and he dispenses great justice. Listen how they're describing this now. As the R word man under the business R word man services, which is co-run with his uncle, a former surgeon. The business's motto is righting wrongs through penetration. Oh yeah, you seeing it right? Oh yeah, you seeing it right? This is right here on YouTube, by the way. PukeTube, for you love to censor black channels. They won't censor stuff like this. This crap is up on YouTube right now. That's why I'm showing it to you. But let's continue reading the description, right? Oh, because you know you got to get these niggers over here in New Black Media just for teaching history and teaching people the truth. But they don't censor this kind of crap. When engaged in his night trade, the R word man wears a black leather ski mask shaped like the head of a circumcised penis, but no trousers or underwear. He punishes evil females who have wronged or cheated their partners. Okay, so I want to make sure everybody saw that, right? Because see, what you're gonna do here tonight, you're gonna see why I read it to you, and you're gonna see why I'm so vehemently strict on not making jokes about this type of thing or that type of culture. Again, this is right up on YouTube. You can look up what I'm showing you after the broadcast, and you'll see, hey, it's no age restriction, no nothing. You just, hey, just log right in and see some crap about an R word man. Yeah. So that's a sick part of their culture, because see, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to learn here, when they start talking about what we need to fix and, oh, black people so violent, this, that, the third, one thing that you can say about foundational black American or freedmen culture, we don't co-sign nothing harming no women or children. Now, do we have that going on in our community? Yes, we do. We do. But it's underground, isn't it? You can walk around with your chest poked out proud. So I'm gonna tell you something I know about Japan. Oh yeah, I'm finna read they dirty mail and they laundry tonight. Women over there, back to business, let me say this to you sisters here. Y'all got it good right here in the West. Because see, when you get outside the West and head to the Eastern world, you basically going back in time. This is why brothers are warning you that if you're traveling, you need to travel with a man. I don't give a damn if you don't like me saying that. I'm finna tell you what I know, not what I think. And by the time tonight, you gonna have some information that's gonna show you why I'm saying that. Public transportation for the women over there in Japan, and any brother that's been over there, you know I'm telling the truth. They pretty much openly sexually assault the women on the public transportation over there. Oh yeah, you can't make this up. And see, this case that we're gonna show you here tonight, this man, I'm gonna say it again, back to business. Let me be crystal clear. For any sisters that have been through the nightmare of any type of sexual assault or sexual abuse, I do not recommend you watch this. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time, sisters. If you've been through anything like that, this ain't a broadcast for you. I don't even want you to see this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would not recommend you watch this if you still dealing with that type of trauma, because that no words can go into how horrible that is. I can't imagine what that would be like for a woman to have to suffer that. So I want to make sure I'm openly clear with my disclaimer. You know, hopefully my moderators will put that in the chat, but I'm trying to teach this lesson to show you what these people have going on in their country. And by the time it's over with, you're going to see that really no justice was served. So before we get into it, let me scroll up here and greet this esteemed guest in the chat room. It's going to be very serious subject matter tonight. I hate to do this, but somebody got to tell the truth about it. So I'm going to greet you all that I see. Let me pull up the chat. I see ATLN_007. What's going on? Sidonian Snow. Welcome, Yuki the Snowman. I think you might be familiar with some of this, Brother Yuki. John Guillory, I see you. Shakira Carlin, 2 stars. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name, sister. Don't take it personal. Goddess Navi, welcome. Only Pamela's Way. Jesse Paris, a.k.a. Shay and Kroom, I see you. Stun Zed, I see you. Key Prince in the building. Patricia Jenkins, welcome, good sister. I see you. Let's see here. Scroll down. First Sergeant, some chick named Star. Welcome, good sister. Hey, sister, this one might be a little tough for you to hear. You know what I'm saying? But ladies, I'm gonna say it again. It's gonna be sensitive subject matter here tonight. One Thou, I see you in the building. A.E. Norton, welcome. D. Foster, salute to you. Jason Ferreira in the building. Breeze Omega, what's going on, my brother? The Hula Gang in the building. Let's see. Opal Ivy, welcome to you, sister. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Make sure I didn't miss anyone or anybody as we start to get people in. Salute to the good brother Nightfall Drop. Salute and welcome to all of y'all. And again, one more time, I know it's repetitive. This is going to be one of the most sickening things you've ever heard. In fact, let me say this to you. A lot of times, those of us in New Black Media, when we present certain types of history to you, you know, I caution you, even if I recommend you certain books to read, like The Delectable Negro, I tell you, don't try to finish that book all the way through. You have to take breaks from reading stuff like that because it particularly affected our people. And even though this did not affect our people, there are just some things that are so horrific and as far as like showing the lack of humanity and pure evil in the world that you have to have your cleansing rituals ready after you digest this type of information. I know I did. I've known about this for a while. And see, I wouldn't be speaking on this, but see, they got kind of spicy over there on Twitter and other places talking about black people, black people, black people. Okay, we're going to talk about what you need to do in your homeland, okay? And yes, this is particularly the Japanese, all right? But you better believe there are other Asian countries that have this going on here tonight. So I think I've given everybody enough fair warning. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to be stopping this to break it down as need be. And again, my apologies in advance because what you're going to see is going to be very triggering.
This is the story of Junko Furuta, widely considered to be one of the worst crimes ever committed in human history. So for the love of God, please don't watch this if you're sensitive to extreme violence, especially of the sexual variety. Trust me. Junko Furuta was a young woman who was born in Misato in the Saitama prefecture of Japan. Her family consisted of a mother, father, an older brother, and a younger brother. She attended high school at a school in Saitama while working part-time at a plastic molding factory after school. She was saving up for a big graduation trip she was planning. She was all set up to start working at an electronics store after she graduated. She was fairly popular and well-liked by her classmates. She had great grades and was hardly ever absent. She was active, attractive, and attracted a lot of attention, which made some people jealous. She didn't drink, didn't smoke, and definitely never touched any drugs. This made her seem very lame in the eyes of the thugs around the school, the Yakuza wannabes. One of the boys in this group was named Hiroshi Miyano. He actually developed a bit of a crush on her and wanted to get physical with her. He proposed this, and she refused. Hiroshi was a pretty big bully in this school, one of the only ones actually involved with the younger members of the Yakuza at the time.
So I'm gonna pause it right here and fill everybody in. I know I have a very astute audience, but some of you may not have heard or might not be familiar with certain Japanese terms. So let me give you a bit of information. The Yakuza is basically the Japanese version of the mafia. The Chinese version would be the triad, okay? Yes, they are operative over here in America. They operate internationally. So one of the little pieces of shit, because I'm going to call him exactly what he is, that's going to be involved in this. He was involved in that activity in his family. But the other thing that you might not be aware of here, the young lady that they're going to be talking about in this broadcast, she was only 17 at the time this happened in the late 80s, okay? It was the late 80s, 89. 17 years old, 5'3", small, okay? Just a child, all right? These were her peers that did that to her. So anytime they start talking about what black children do, because you rarely ever hear about foundational Black American freedmen children doing what you're about to hear here tonight. And see, this is why I say that this crime right here that they committed, when you hear the extreme brutality of it, you'll understand why brothers like myself say you can't rehabilitate these types of monsters. They would have had to get the death penalty, even though they was minors for doing what they did. You can't rehabilitate that. There's just some things that once your mind goes so far and you exhibit that you are void of any type of humanity, we don't have no business trying to rehabilitate you and put you back in society. You got to go. That's it for you, okay? This right here is one of the most evil things I've ever heard, but I just want to give y'all that bit of backstory on this. I'm gonna let him continue explaining this. And like I said, I can understand if a lot of people just don't want to hear this tonight. I don't think most of you may finish this tonight here, but we're gonna put it on the record and put their dirty laundry back in their face, because this is what they need to take care of back home.
Usually, nobody dared defy him. He couldn't believe that Junko actually had the gall to turn him down. Hiroshi did not take this well at all. He couldn't believe that anyone would ever reject him. He took it as a complete and total insult. He got together with a few of his wannabe Yakuza buddies, and they all hatched a plan to get revenge on Junko. They would get another one of their friends to attack Junko, and then Hiroshi would come to the rescue. After he won a bit of her trust, they could take her wherever they wanted. On November 25th of 1988, Junko was riding her bike home from her part-time job when an unknown boy attacked her and knocked her off of her bike. The boy who liked her, Hiroshi Miyano, was conveniently across the street while the whole thing happened. He came to Junko's aid and scared off the random boy. He then offered to escort her home. Everything seemed to be going as planned. While Junko didn't actually trust him, it seemed better than the alternative of possibly being attacked again. She didn't have any idea that Hiroshi harbored any sort of hatred towards her. She wouldn't have imagined that he would be planning anything like this. Hiroshi took Junko into an abandoned warehouse and revealed his Yakuza connections to her.
Now, you already see what the narrator here is describing. See, this is why it's important for fathers to do their jobs, because see, you know how they always like to lecture us about what we need to do as fathers. There ain't no black fathers around. Well, where were these boys black fathers? Because see, one of the things I was taught early on as a young man by my father, grandfather, uncles, okay, older male cousins, you learn how to control yourself, okay? You learn to respect life in general, okay? As far as it depends upon you, unless you have to defend yourself. And you learn how to accept no or rejection. See, let me tell you something about these little Yakuza punks, man. They're little kids. They're spoiled brats over there in Japan. Oh, they get away with all kinds of stuff because the Yakuza, whether you know it or not, like I said, it's a Japanese mafia. They got all types of illegal business connections. They clicked in with the politicians over there. Hell, they run damn half the country over there. So, you know, imagine if you, the kid, son or daughter, one of them, you could just get away with whatever the hell you want. And when you hear what they're about to describe right here, man, this, like I said, there's certain things that you hear. And, you know, I always tell you I'm only primarily concerned about our people. But, man, listen, I have compassion as a human being. When I heard this, I was just like, listen, man, you know, the outcome of it is what pissed me off. But, you know, I'm going to let the narrator get back to talking here because, like I said, one more time, ladies, this is something that's going to be hard for you to hear. I can understand if you go ahead and tune out from this. Just trying to make sure you get plenty of advance warning. So we're going to get back to it.
He then took his time raping her over and over. Then he took her to a hotel. In the hotel, he called his friends, Joe Ogura and Yasushi Watanabe. From then on, he and his 3 friends took turns assaulting her. Unfortunately, this was not their first time doing this, as they had just recently done it to another girl in the past few weeks. They decided that they were having far too much fun to just set her free again. There was also the possibility that she would call the cops and tell them what happened, and they couldn't have that. The next morning, Hiroshi took Junko to a nearby park, where Joe, Yasushi, and a 4th boy, Nobuharu Minato, were waiting. They learned Junko's address and used it to threaten her, telling her that they would kill her entire family if she tried to get away. The 4 teenage boys then took her back to Minato's parents' home where they continued to assault her. This is where, for 42 more days, she would be held prisoner.
Now, you heard what he just said. These degenerate, demonic little pieces of worthless shit took this girl to one of the boys' parents' house. So again, where was the parents at? Huh? Asian community, Japanese folks? Where were these damn delinquents' parents? Where were they at? For them to take a whole human being to their house and just keep it there. Were they in on it? Because hell, some of them had Yakuza ties. Did they know about it? Apparently they did. Okay. 42 days. 44 in total. Okay. 44 in total. He made a misnomer on that. It was 44 in total. Family, let me tell you something, man. I'm pointing this out to you because, see, I'm finna start exposing how dangerous some of these other class over here, even the ones that don't look like us, because you need to know the type of mindset that some of them have when they come over here, particularly towards women. Let me tell you something, dude. We need to know what's coming into our neighborhoods and our communities. We already got enough problems from within, but see, with Jim Crow, Joe Biden opening the floodgates, and they already anti-black, so the importance of me bringing this to you here tonight, yes, we're going to call it like it is. Hitler, the little mustache man, he called Asians honorary Aryans. So they already, a lot of them have anti-black sentiment. Now, we ain't done these people nothing. We ain't done these people nothing at all, family. Nothing. No, we ain't done no other group as a collective anything to warrant the mistreatment that they give upon black people or the hatred. If anything, we've advocated for every single group to come over here and immigrate to the United States. In hindsight, that was one of the biggest mistakes our forefathers and foremothers made. Okay, but we're correcting that today. So I'm going to show you this sick mindset because, see, when you go to countries like this, where they barely see women as human beings, and like they supposed to be so subservient, they got to look with their head down and be walking on pins and needles and be afraid to say anything, you're going to see where this mindset comes from. Because I showed you at the beginning, they make jokes about one of the most horrendous, inhumane things that you can inflict on any human being, period, male or female, okay? So I'm just letting you know what type of mindset they have. I want y'all to listen to this because this is beyond sick.
On the third day that Junko was missing, her parents were dealing with the police, trying to get her found. Knowing this would happen, the captors made her call her parents and tell them that she had run away and was staying with a friend, safe and sound. She was forced to ask her mom to stop the investigation. They held Junko captive in the bedroom, forcing her to pose as one of the boys' girlfriend. It didn't take long for the parents to realize that this was a lie. Eventually, they dropped the whole girlfriend act altogether, as it was very clear that they weren't going to get in any trouble. Immediately after arriving at the home, the boys forced Junko into becoming their toy. They beat her relentlessly and raped her countless times a day, often taking turns. They were proud of what they were doing, regularly boasting to their friends that they had a woman trapped and ready for their personal use. They invited a load of their friends to come over and have their way with her. In the first few days, at least 30 of them raped her, and at least 100 knew of her imprisonment. Even women were invited to come see the spectacle, with a young girl even being invited to come over and see the prisoner, who then took a pen and doodled on her face.
Now, I know, family, I know that's... You don't get any more evil than that. See, it's one thing to make mistakes as a child, you're developing. But when you cross over into the lines of torturing innocent people, okay, like this, then you heard even some of her peers, female peers of hers that went to school with her, came over here and saw her condition and didn't have no compassion for her, to the point where they drawing on her face. Let me tell y'all something in this chat room. Don't you ever let any other group that has come over here try to wave their damn fingers in our face about any type of morality, because we don't do this. We don't co-sign this. Any of this that's in our community, if we find out about it, it's shunned, it's called out. And if you down here in the South, like me, we handle that quick, fast, in a hurry. You touch on somebody's kid, we find out, we gonna deal with you. You doing something to the women down here, the elderly down here, we gonna deal with you, okay? Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Whatever you got going on in your head, we gonna help you fix it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be some hands-on psychology. Because see, you don't deserve to live if you do this to any human being. When I was a teenage boy, I never had that thought in my mind about trying to do anything like that. I didn't kick it with dudes that didn't understand the simple concept of consent and no. I didn't. Because see, when you raise right, your family name means something to you. Okay, if you've been raised with the right values, you don't want to do anything to dishonor or disrespect your family. Okay. And there's no way in hell I ever have that attached to my name. And see, for these little bastards over here, and this ain't just them. This is many Eastern countries with this culture towards women, okay? Many of them. See, you better watch. I'm gonna throw this in too. You better watch a couple of these clowns that's out here that everybody looking to follow now, like Andrew Tate. That's right, goddamn it, I said his name. I've covered some of his beliefs over here. You better watch it if your children are looking up to people like that, because see, this kind of stuff, they don't think nothing's wrong with it. See, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I'm gonna say it one more time, and I want it loud and clear. And look, if anybody's listening that disagrees with me over here, that you subscribe to my channel, I'm the type of brother, man, if you think anything about sexual assault is funny, you can't be around me. And I damn sure don't want you on this channel, okay? I just want to make that clear. That's my position on that. But family, we need to know who's in our communities. We need to know their mindset. We need to know the culture that they come from. Because, see, they talk about, you know, how they the model minority over here, this, that, the third. But see, when you start bringing up some of this history and putting it back in their faces, watch how quiet they get. Because, see, I've tried to let a lot of them slide. I usually try to stay away from that other stuff. It's bigger fish to fry. But see, the more I keep seeing these different cultures talking, and don't get me started on India. Oh, man, listen. I might have to go ahead and hit them up next because, you know, Dinesh D'Souza and Raman Noodle, Vivek Ramaswamy, they running around talking about how bad black people is. I'm like, okay, don't make me dig up some stuff from your homeland that's going on right now. See, this is the past. This is the past, but not much has changed today over there. See, let me tell you something. Japan, I'm not saying everybody over there is like that. Beautiful place. They're extremely anti-black racists in the north. Now, southern Japan, a little bit more laid back. They're a little bit more friendly towards black people. But one thing that I can say, especially in the northern areas, they really do not treat women very well. They don't. They don't. That's why a lot of them be dying to come over here to the West so they can at least have some type of protection. Because this is just inhumane, man. But, you know, I'm going to let the narrator continue. I just wanted to put that out there because, see, we finna shut that down. We finna put these people's truth back in their faces. They always trying to look at us over here. Nah, you need to go back home and deal with this because we ain't never had this type of thought process in open foundational Black American Freedom Society. Never.
Day 7 mark, Junko had been already completely stripped of all of her humanity. She was forced to be naked at all times and was constantly beaten and humiliated. They would shove her into the freezer for hours when they were bored with her, only pulling her out when they wanted to assault her again. Nobuharu Minato's brother and parents were living in the same house that she was being held in. His brother did nothing, aside from informing him that Junko might die at this rate. His parents were afraid to intervene as they had seen Nobuharu's violent nature firsthand. They also knew of his association with the Yakuza and feared of their possible retaliation. And most disgustingly, they worried about losing their good reputation in the community. After about 10 days of this torture, Junko's body was already starting to fail her. Because of the ongoing, endless beatings, so much blood had accumulated in her sinuses that she could no longer breathe through her nose. Her digestive system was also beginning to refuse food and water. If she attempted to eat or drink anything, she would instantly vomit. This also led to severe dehydration. Anytime she would vomit, her attackers would get angry and beat her even further. A vicious cycle that had no end in sight. When the nights got even colder, she was forced to sleep on the balcony of the home in extreme cold temperatures, sometimes near or below freezing. Eventually, one of the men that the attackers would invite over to the house to see Junko would go on to tell someone else about her, his brother. This brother of his ended up informing the police about what was going on at the Minato house. 2 officers were soon dispatched to go check things out. Minato's parents came to the door. When the police explained the situation, the parents simply responded that there was no girl in the house. The police took it at face value, thanked them, and left, without ever bothering to check even a single detail. After 20 days of torture, Junko was rendered completely unable to walk. She had had lighter fluid poured on her legs and set on fire, leaving her with severe burns. Her legs had also been targeted so severely during the beatings that they were left with severe muscle damage. She was unable to grip anything with her hands anymore, as they had been smashed with dumbbells to the point where her bones were crushed and her fingernails were shattered. Some nights later, the attackers got more rowdy than usual and ended up drinking too much.
See, family, bastards like this, I guarantee you, they never confront other men or other boys at the time, because these were teenagers when they did this. I want to make that clear. These were teenagers when they did this. So where did you get the behavior from? Who raised them to think this way, huh? These people come over here wagging their fingers at us. No. We got to look at stuff like this that's going on over there in your homeland right now. Oh, yeah. Because, see, the demonic, it's like, it's wrong to do this from the outset. But this added stuff they done, you can't call yourself a human being. Look, you wouldn't, look, if you were the type of person to do something to a child or elderly person, I'll just go ahead and execute you. Okay? Now, I ain't gonna say that I wouldn't, inflict some pain on your ass, but this stuff that they did to her, a girl that simply rejected one of them, and because this little punk ass couldn't take the word no, you go in and kidnap this girl and just violate her humanity. For over a month. Do you know how that breaks somebody's mind and their spirit? And they were talking about they was worried about their good reputation in the community. What fucking good reputation? Huh? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to get even worse. It's going to get even worse. And see, what pissed me off again was the outcome. Some of you might have heard of this, so y'all probably know the outcome. But this right here, they can't never say nothing to us about stuff, because you'll be hard pressed to find any case in foundational Black American history, even that's going to come close to the equivalent of what you about to hear with the rest of this. I'm going to go ahead and let him finish narrating here, because this right here, man, there's just no excuse to be made for this at all.
Junko took this as a chance to try to escape. She crawled down the stairs from the bedroom and reached the phone downstairs. She picked up the phone and began to call the police. The phone rang, and an officer picked up. Just as she was about to speak, Hiroshi came up behind her and grabbed the phone from her hands. He put the receiver to his ear and said, "I dialed by mistake," hanging up the phone. She was then pulled back into the bedroom. She was in complete terror, as she would obviously be severely punished for this. And she was correct. They punished her by holding her down and taunting her by waving a candle's flame all around her. Then they covered her entire body, mainly her legs, in lighter fluid and set her on fire once more. Afterwards, she started convulsing. The boys told everyone that she was faking it and set her on fire once again, only to put it out shortly after. Somehow, she survived. From this point on, she began begging her captors to just kill her and be done with it. They wouldn't grant her that favor. After being set on fire, they discovered a new way to torture her. The boys would hold her head against the concrete while the others would jump on it. One can only imagine what kind of pain and damage this would have caused.
These demonic sons of bitches right here, boy. See, over there, I don't know how they view their family, but you can't even get too fly at the mouth with none of mine that I love. You understand me? But for something like this, I would be inconsolable. I got to have you. And I'm going to get you too. It ain't going to be nowhere that you could hide on the planet from me if I found that you did this to one of my loved ones that hadn't done nothing to you. Nothing could warrant this. And see, let me give you a bit of other caution here, ladies, because see, we're going to have to teach and tie all this in together. I'm talking about them and their culture, but you better be careful of these Negroes that engage in this gender war they say any old thing about Black women. See, when I criticize sisters, I'm doing it from a place of love, and I make distinctions between the behaviors that I'm calling out versus all Black women. When you in these spaces where people talk about B-dub this, B-dub that, you better, I tell you what you do, because y'all know what the spaces are. I don't even have to name them. Just watch the chat room sometime. Just sit there and watch the chat room, see the stuff that's being said about them by certain content creators, and then just watch how they let their audience just say crazy shit. Some of these people in these different spaces, man, and I'm talking about our community now, okay? Some of these people in these different spaces have actually gone offline and harmed women, okay? Listen, man, I get it. Our women are out of pocket. But as a man, there's a way you deal with that You correct the ones that need to be correct, the ones that you can't. You don't deal with them, but you don't wish this type of stuff on them. But see, some of these clowns, sad to say, with recent events that we've seen, the sister over there in Dubai, yes, what she did was foolish, but I don't want her stuck, locked up in no country like that. Let her come home. We'll deal with her. Okay? Even her silly ass Carly Russell. Okay, I already gave my thoughts on that. But a lot of them clowns will be wishing bad or stuff like this on them. I've seen it, okay? So I'm calling that part out because, see, you have to watch these psychologically disturbed mindsets because, see, people will jump online and say anything. Bunch of cowards, be anonymous, say all this stuff. So when you see these different people jumping in these spaces, agreeing with certain things, saying all kinds of egregious stuff about harming black women, I'm going to tell you another thing you better look out for. Look out for, and this is unforgivable to me, look out for the Sambozos that sit up there and let people of another race talk bad about our women, and they write in the chat room, and they from our lineage. Nah, you can stay over there. You can stay over there. If you see them, like, for me, there's no coming back from that. This right here, man, like I said, they ain't gonna be able to say nothing else about what we got going on because we don't do this. Let it continue.
After about 30 days, Junko was no longer able to urinate properly. She had suffered severe damage to her genitals after they had been burned with cigarette lighters. She also had various foreign objects inserted into her, many sharp and jagged. Even fireworks had been inserted into her. The fireworks were not limited to only one orifice, as they were also inserted into her anus, mouth, and ears as well. She was left with eardrum damage so severe that she was nearly deaf at this point. Her hands and feet were so damaged that she could hardly move. At best, she could crawl. It took her over an hour to crawl to the bathroom. A later report showed that her brain size was greatly reduced by this point in time. Due to her hellish appearance, the boys no longer found her attractive. They used the same strategy again to abduct and gang rape another 19-year-old woman while she was on her way home from work. During these 44 days of hell, Junko Furuta was forced to withstand the most unspeakable torture and suffering that a person can imagine. Some of what was done to her includes being raped many times every single day, day and night, in all orifices. More than 100 men are believed to have raped her by the end. Sometimes she was raped by up to 12 different attackers in a single day. Constant humiliation. She was forced to be left naked most of the time. Many of the men who raped her also urinated on her.
Family, this shit right here, even if someone had found this young lady in time, the psychological damage that she endured right there, that would have stayed with her for the rest of her life. She would have never been the same again after this. And see, if there was any type of justice amongst the men in that society, they would have went and got them motherfuckers and executed all of them on the spot. That's where your street justice come in right there. You don't need no trial. Where we gonna put you? We can't put you back in community next to nobody else in no civilized society. You got to go. You got to go if you do something like this. Let me say something else. I want you to understand the mindset of some of these Eastern men from the Eastern side of the world and these archaic cultures where they look at women as less than human beings. The other threat we need to worry about, those Afghan refugees that come over. Yes, God damn it, I said it. Yes, I did. Them Afghan refugees that come over here, they have a similar mindset towards their women. Don't believe me? Talk to some of them. Talk to some of their women that's from these areas. They'll tell you they'll never go back to their homelands. Never, because of this type of demonic mindset right here. See, a part of manhood is valuing that which gives your community life, okay? The gatekeepers of life to our community are our women. I get it. You're going to have arguments. It's going to be disagreements. But for you to view a woman as so much less than, see, listen, I cherish my sisters out of love, okay? Because I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. All right? I'd rather you be pissed off with me all the days of your life than not tell you the truth. Because see, ladies, let me tell you something. I'm gonna say it again. You got to learn to listen to brothers from your lineage when we try to warn you about certain things. And I'm telling you, particularly a lot of these sisters jumping up traveling by themselves with no men. I'm not saying you got to live in a fishbowl, but please consider taking somebody with you. Because see, heaven help you if this happened to you. Because over there, we got to add this to our women. Wherever you go in the world, you already black, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of continental African women are finding this out the hard way. They go running to places like Italy and then get caught up in prostitution. Places like the United Arab Emirates, God knows the torture they've done. I'll have to do a whole broadcast on that. But you're going to be viewed as black, meaning they don't even see you as human. And if they did catch somebody that happened to do something like this to you, they're going to take it easy on them. They're going to side with their people over you because of how they view their own women. Think about it. Are they going to treat you better than they treat their own women? See, this is why I want the sister Tierra Allen back home. Yes, she broke their laws. We understand that. But I know what they do to women outside of the United States, outside of the Western world. I know it. Sister, this is the best protection you ever got over here. You can get away with so much. You got protections if anybody all you got to do is just accuse somebody of something over here, whether you got proof or not. Over there, shit, you call the police, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, well, what you did to deserve it, if they do anything at all. And see, then, I'm going to say it one more time. For the sisters out here that like to travel, I know some of you travel on business or your jobs or whatever out the country. Try to have a male friend with you. Can't say that enough. But make sure you do research on the cultures of these different countries that you're going to. And if you ain't got to be there longer than necessary, hey, shorten your stay, do what you need to do, get in, get out, okay? Don't go wandering places by themselves. Be careful who you trust, the friends you make, because they could try to set you up. And they have a particular hatred, again, particularly of the Black American man and woman. We ain't done these people nothing. So I'm just tying this into the safety issue for our people. But this sick bullshit right here that you listen to tonight, man, listen. Y'all thought it was bad. He ain't done describing it yet, because this is one of the worst things I ever heard. I ain't never heard nothing come close to this type of demonic brutality, and particularly for their ages. They was all minors at the time. All of them was minors. I'm gonna let the narrator continue.
She was forced to pleasure herself in front of the attackers for their entertainment. She was beaten physically every day. She was beaten with golf clubs, iron rods, bamboo sticks, and various other objects. She had dumbbells dropped all over her body and her head stomped against the ground, face first. She had hot wax poured all over her face with a focus on her eyelids. Her eyelids were also burned with cigarettes and cigarette lighters. She was violated with a long list of various objects shoved into all orifices, including but not limited to bottles, both broken and unbroken, iron bars, scissors, roasting needles, chicken skewers, and more. She was given only the strict bare minimum of food and water. At times, she was forced to eat cockroaches and drink urine. She had fireworks put into all of her orifices, leaving damage and severe burns. She had her left nipple ripped off by a pair of pliers. She would be tied up flat on the floor and had dumbbells dropped all over her body. The drops on her abdomen were so hard that it caused her to lose all control of her bowels. She was hung from the ceiling and used as a punching bag. She was shoved into a freezer and kept there for hours at a time. Her eyelids were burned with hot wax and lighters when she closed her eyes in fear. Her breasts were stabbed with sewing needles, the needles often being left inside.
Each thing that he's describing, no normal human being would even consider doing this to another human being. Project Leroy, you're right. That does remind us of what happened to our sister Private Lavinia Johnson. That's another thing. A lot of people gonna get mad at me saying it. You know me, I'm the guy that don't care if you get mad as long as I speak the truth in good faith. I'm gonna say it right now. Combat veteran, I do not advocate our women, particularly our women, going into the United States military, any branch of it. I don't. I know they're there, but I don't advocate that, because Project Leroy pointed out something. What happened to Private Lavinia Johnson? We know what they did to that sister, because if you read the details of that, they tried to cover that up with acid. remove DNA. We know. She had a similar treatment to what you're hearing here, okay? And the family has never gotten justice to this day, okay? Family, like I said, we got monsters out here. But one is forearmed, so this type of information, even though it's hard to absorb, we absorb it and we keep in mind, okay, this is what type of culture you come from. Particularly if you got children and they dumping these people in our neighborhoods, we need to know what kind of backgrounds they come from, okay? So we can protect our own, okay? Let the narrator continue.
Her genitals were burned with cigarettes and lighters. She had a hot, lit light bulb inserted into her vagina and moved around until it shattered. By the end, she looked like a completely different person after all of the damage. It was hard to even make out her facial features. Her body was severely damaged and crippled, and she smelled as if she were already rotting. She was continuously heavily bleeding from her genitals from all of the abuse. She wheezed heavily, struggling to breathe from all of the blood accumulated in her sinuses. On day 40, January 1st, Junko woke up to New Year's Day alone. She spent the day begging to be killed, completely unable to move. 3 days later, on the fateful day of the 4th of January, the boys challenged Junko to a game of Mahjong Solitaire and forced her to play. Somehow, even in her condition, she won the game. This infuriated her captors, who treated her to a severe beating with an iron barbell, and then poured lighter fluid all over her arms, her legs, her stomach, and finally her face, dumping lighter fluid even into her eyes. Then they put a candle to her face, igniting it all. She weakly attempted to put out the flames, but didn't have the strength to do so. This final torture lasted for a grueling 2 hours altogether. Already having been in a horrible condition, Junko went into shock and finally died the following day. Minato's brother called him within 24 hours to inform him that Junko had died. The boys all rushed over to the house in a panic. Fearing what would certainly be a life sentence, or even a death sentence, the boys started to freak out. But they came up with a plan. The captors then put her body into a 55-gallon oil drum and filled it to the brim with concrete. A small bit of Junko's long hair was poking out the top of the concrete, something they apparently didn't notice.
Family, see, all of you know I'm from Georgia, okay? Raised down here in the South. Been a lot of different places. That country is one of them. Been over there. I saw how they treat their women over there. The minds, especially on their public transportation, okay? Brothers, especially young brothers, listen to the sound of my voice. I know everybody had different familial upbringings. But see, this is why we must go out of our way to protect our women and our children. Because unfortunately, we got people over here that look like us, who are not us, that think like this in their countries. Because see, I could get on the African tethers too. I've been trying not to pull the trigger on that. But see, I'm finna start putting some of these people atrocious crimes out there in these homelands while they over here talking about Chicago, this. None of this that you hearing compared to Chicago. Oh, no. And, you know, they love to scapegoat that city all the time. Good people, men and women out there in Chicago. It's not even the most violent city in America by the current numbers, okay? Nowhere near that. Is there problems? Yes. Most of that's orchestrated by the white supremacists. But see, this type of shit right here, this is why I have a zero tolerance for certain types of individuals around me with certain types of thought processes. Because, see, if you joke about rape, sexual assault, anything about hurting kids, you know, stuff like that, I can't trust you around people that I love, okay? I can't trust you, and it's best you not be around people that I love, because see, if you are, the minute that I think that you about to do something to harm any of my blood ties or close friends, yeah, I'm gonna make the news that day. I guarantee you that. Because see, as men, it's our primary job to be aware of this type of evil and the foresight. And see, let me say something to every sister in here that's still in here. And I understand, lady, this is hard to look at. It's hard for me to get through, believe me. But I need to say something to you. Because all of you in here might have been guilty of this at one point in time. So I'm saying this to you out of love, and I hope you receive it that way. If any of you, whether you got husband, boyfriend, older brother, father, uncle in your life, and they try to tell you about certain things that you're doing, where you're going, who you're hanging out with, things of that nature, before you give pushback, just listen. Just listen. Sometimes it's good to just listen. Sometimes it's good to yield to the protectors, the men in your family, because we love you. We don't want nothing to happen to you. Okay. So when you quick to argue with brothers, just remember, we your only protection, because it's not gonna come from no other group. It's not. And see, I'm gonna say it, foundational Black American freedmen men, most of us that are decent, we was raised to protect our women and our children. These other cultures, not so much. Not so much. I'm gonna let the narrator continue, because see, this they didn't even, after the inhumane, evil treatment they gave this young lady, they still just treated her like she wasn't nothing after she expired here. But it's a lesson to be learned from this, family. As difficult as it is. Let's get back to it.
They disposed of the barrel at a construction site in Koto, Tokyo. Seeing that place now, you'd never imagine something like this was buried there. There was originally a good chance that the police would never find out who did this. There weren't any clues to go on. Luckily, Hiroshi is a moron. While he was being questioned by the police 2 weeks later involving their recent gang rape of the unrelated 19-year-old woman, he got confused and thought the police were talking about Junko, as the cases were so similar. And thinking that one of the other boys must have already confessed, he spilled the beans. He realized his mistake, but it was already too late, and he told the police where they had hid the body. Joe Ogura had already been arrested for another unrelated sexual assault case. He was quickly also arrested for Junko's case as well. The other boys were then arrested within the next few days. Later, the drum was finally opened and the concrete was broke open, revealing Junko's long-deceased body in a nightmare-inducing, horrific condition. Junko's family was notified and told of what happened to her in detail. When her mother heard the details of what was done to her, she fainted. She ended up in a long-term stay in a psychiatric hospital. An autopsy was performed on Junko, revealing the true horror of what had happened to her. Small bottles were found still stuck in her rectal cavity, and it was revealed that she was pregnant, although the damage to her uterus was severe. Her face was so completely mutilated that she had to be identified by her fingerprints. Being that they were juveniles, the court withheld the names of the 4 captors. But journalists from Shukan Bunshin magazine were able to find out exactly who they were and published the names of all of them.
And see, when they found out the names of these damn accursed demons, these fucking monsters, let me tell you something, man. And I'm gonna say this. PewTube, you can censor everything else. I got to say this just like it is. When you have something like this inflicted upon your society, particularly your women, your children, your elderly, your disabled, I'm going to tell you what would have been justice, even at the age that they were. You did that, every man in that community is supposed to hunt your ass down and do whatever they see fit to bring justice. That's the way that's supposed to go. At this point, ain't no need to wait on no law enforcement, because like I said, how you gonna rehabilitate that? Why would you even want to try? There's nothing human there to rehabilitate at all. Every man, and I mean, it should have been thousands. Like, hey, you seen him? Okay, let me know. I'm over here looking for him. We find these motherfuckers, it's on site. Only damn thing I needed a damn axe on a stump grinder for. Boy, listen, man. This right here, like I said, my point is this. They talking about what we need to fix? Nah, you should be talking about this, because, see, unfortunately, with any type of horrific crime, there's always copycats. This type of stuff is still going on today. See, I dug in the craze to bring you this, but trust me, this is not a strange thing. I mean, not to this magnitude, at least not that I know of, but other cases like this go on over there where these people are from. Okay, many parts of Asia, okay, India, China, Japan, okay, all over the place, okay? So while they talking about us, they need to sweep around their own front door first when you got this kind of stuff going on. Let the narrator continue.
Stating that they were inhuman and therefore didn't deserve human rights. Nobody really contested this. As we know, they were Hiroshi Miyano, 18 at the time, Joe Ogura, also 18 at the time, Nobuharu Minato, who was 16 at the time, and Yasushi Watanabe, who was 17. All four of these monsters were caught and sent to trial. During each trial, it was pretty common for onlookers to pass out upon hearing the details of the case. Even with all that they had done, they didn't really show any semblance of remorse. And despite all of this, they received extremely light sentences for such horrific crimes. They were actually still being tried as juveniles, but after much backlash, they were changed to adult status. Still, after being upgraded to adult status, they received unbelievably light sentences. Something that, to this day, continues to enrage people who hear about this case. The boys, somehow, were not charged with murder. Instead, they received a charge called causing bodily injury resulting in death. In Japan, the juvenile court system is far more focused.
You heard that damn charge, causing bodily injury that resulted in death? That's fucking murder. On top of sexual assault and torture that they see, man, this right here. Like I said, this happened in 1989. Happened in 1989. 44 days. This young lady was treated like she was worth less than nothing. I wouldn't even do a dog like that, man. You got people, man. Animals even have more compassion than that for one another. If an animal's out in the wild, it's gonna kill something, just go ahead and kill them. Even animals don't act like this, man. And they have the nerve to point their finger over here at us. Nah, see, sometimes your brother get tired of them running their mouths. I'm like, okay, let me show you who your people really are. Let me show you what kind of culture you come from, okay? And like I said, this isn't just a one-off. That's why I showed you at the beginning, if you're just coming in here, I showed proof of how they think that sexual assault is a joke over there, to the point you got a damn cartoon about this. And you wonder where they got the idea from, because that's a very old cartoon that I showed you. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was around back then. If I'm not mistaken. You can look it up and do your research. For those that just joining, you'll have to catch the beginning. But see, when you play with that type of thing and you make it a harmless thing, something to joke out of, this is what you encourage in your youth and your minors, okay? And see, in Foundational Black American Freedom Culture, you know, we don't play around with nothing like that. Not any of us in our right frame of mind, okay, that was raised in decent families. We don't play with nothing even coming close to that, because that's sick, demented, and depraved. And if you thinking like that, you can't be trusted around nobody. These little punks had money. Hell, they could have paid a prostitute if they just wanted sexual access to a woman. But you did all this because she rejected you, told you no. And see, my sisters over here, let me tell you something. Especially while you're here in the United States, you know I always tell you, practice your Second Amendment, right? And keep you a secondary deterrent on you, some good old-fashioned bear spray, some blades, learn how to use these different things so that if you have to defend yourself, do what you need to do, protect yourself at all times, okay? Because I know it's not realistic to think you'll always be around brothers, but this type of shit right here, man, like I said, the sentences that they gave him, I think he's going to read some of them off. I'm going to let the narrator continue.
On rehabilitation rather than punishment. Something that you'll remember if you saw my Yukio Yamaji video. Usually this means that juveniles will end up getting relatively very low sentences. Hiroshi was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Minato got a 5 to 7 year sentence himself. Watanabe got 9 years, and Joe got an 8-year sentence. One sad thing is that these monsters actually received even lower sentences than that at first. They were only increased to the still low amount after an appeal. It was so low that some people even questioned if their Yakuza ties were to blame for this. By the time of this recording, every single one of the 4 boys is out of jail and living free. 3 of them were in jail for less than 8 years. Hiroshi, the ringleader, was sentenced to 17 years originally. He tried to appeal, but as kind of a fuck you, the judge actually upped his case to 20 years. The same thing happened to 2 of the other boys, and after seeing enough, the 4th boy decided not to try to appeal. However, they all ended up getting out long before those sentences were actually up. And I bet you're wondering if they continued to commit crimes after they got out of jail. Well, let's see. After Nobuhara Minato got out of jail, he changed his first name to Shinji. He did this for obvious reasons. In 2006, he got married to a woman from Romania and had a daughter together. They soon divorced, and the wife ended up with custody of the child. Minato couldn't stay away from murder for too long. He was eventually arrested again for the attempted murder of a businessman. The man had noticed Minato staring at him, to which he asked, "What are you looking at?" Minato came over and punched the man. The man then got out of his car and a fight ensued. It escalated to the point that Minato took out a baton and beat him severely. As the victim tried to get back into his car, Minato slashed his neck with a knife he had hidden. The police were called at some point and they rushed to aid the victim. In the chaos, Minato escaped. He was soon caught and arrested. He denied attempted murder, saying he only intended to beat the man. The case is ongoing. Joe Ogura was released in August of 1999. He also ended up changing his name to Joe Kamisaku. He actually had the gall to brag about his role in the kidnap and torture. His father had vowed to give their entire life savings to Junko's family out of shame, but Joe ended up taking this money and using it for himself to live a fairly extravagant lifestyle. Joe's mother wasn't much better, as she actually vandalized Junko's grave, saying that it was Junko who ruined her son's life. Joe actually managed to find some women to date him. He ended up marrying a Chinese woman, but the marriage didn't last too long. Afterwards, he started dating another woman. He went back to prison in July 2004 for 7 years for beating a guy he thought was luring his girlfriend away from him. He had kidnapped and beaten the man for 4 hours. He proudly told the victim that he had killed before and would do it again. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. But in 2009, he was once again free, and he is still free to this day. The ringleader, Hiroshi Miyano, went right back into his previous gang activity immediately after being released from prison. He was arrested for fraud at some point after this, but didn't see jail time for it. Right now, it seems that he's living a fairly normal life. Some might even say a good life. He is a regular patron at a local kickboxing gym and appears to have a normal social life. As of now, Yasushi Watanabe is the only one of the 4 boys who hasn't been arrested since. Because of that, it's not really known what he's been up to. Since the investigation first started, the police have been able to get DNA from the sperm and pubic hairs found in evidence to link several more criminals to the crime, including 2 men named Koichi Ihara and Tetsuo Nakamura, both of whom were arrested, and there are probably many others who have not been revealed to the public. It is unknown if they will all face any sort of charges. Time will tell.
And family, there you heard it. Now you see why I said what I said about you can't rehabilitate that, because see, first of all, how did you not give the bastards life or the death penalty? You let them back out, recidivize. And the last one they're talking about hadn't been arrested. That doesn't mean he's not out there doing the same thing, because something is broken in you for you to be able to do what they did to that young lady. I brought this broadcast to you here tonight so that you can understand some of these other cultures that's over here criticizing us, where they fled from. Now you see why they had to flee. Next time you hear any of the women, particularly from the Asian culture, getting jazzed at the mouth, bring this story up. Even if they're not from Japan, bring this story up, because there's many others just like it. Even the other other class women that happen to share our skin tone, they know what their men are like as well. Because see, I'm gonna tell you, I'm finna put a stop to this. They trying to come over here and act like where they came from is just so great. Man, the child exploitation over there, the way they treat their women, beating each other, and all kinds of inhumane things. Look, I'm gonna tell you something, right? You know what? I ain't gonna even mention that. I may put that in another broadcast, because I know this has been very extreme here tonight. This is why I'm gonna cut it short, because I understand that, you know, these types of things are very hard to listen to, but I think the point has been made. So I'm going to say this. I want you brothers out here to be aware of these different immigrant groups coming around our communities. Do research into their culture so that you can understand what's going on in their homeland. Because if you got a family to protect, that's your number one responsibility. Then to the community second. For you sisters, same thing. These folks coming around us that they flooding us with, learn what their culture's like, where they come from, okay? We got to protect each other because we all we got, all right? So with that said, salute to everybody. Much respect to you. Protect yourselves out here, family. And I'm going to close the broadcast. Remember, your brother loves you. Ladies, listen to your men. We got your back out here. Sisters, we know you have our back for those of us that's on code. With that said, I'm going to close out, and I will see you all in future content.